Every time you ask an AI a question, the answer comes from thousands of chips having a conversation. And that conversation has become so fast that copper wire, the material that has carried our electricity for 150 years, physically cannot keep up. Past roughly 200 gigabits per second, an electrical signal in copper dies in less than 1 meter. 1 meter. The solution is to replace electricity with light, and some of the companies selling that solution are growing their revenue faster than Nvidia. Today, why copper is hitting a wall, 3 different ways investors are positioned on the other side of that wall, and the twist, because the same technology shift that is making these companies rich could also be the thing that takes it all away. First, the scale of the problem. An AI data center is not a warehouse of independent computers. Training a large model means tens of thousands of GPUs working on the same problem at the same time, which means they constantly talk to each other. In a modern AI cluster, every single GPU needs roughly 6 high-speed optical connections to the network. 6. So a cluster of 100,000 GPUs needs somewhere around 600,000 optical transceivers, small devices, about the size of your thumb, that turn electrical signals into laser light and back. This market was a quiet, boring corner of networking for 2 decades. This year, analysts at TrendForce expect AI optical transceivers alone to be a $26 billion market. Shipments of the fastest modules, 800 gigabits and up, are projected to go from 24 million units last year to around 63 million this year. That is not growth. That is a panic buy. So why can't they just use copper? This is the part most coverage skips, and it's the heart of the story. Electrical signals degrade as they travel. The faster you push them, the faster they fall apart. At the speeds older data centers used, copper could carry a signal several meters. Cheap, reliable, done. But AI clusters have moved to 224 gigabit lanes, and at that speed, copper's reach collapses to under 1 meter, and the power needed to push the signal through rises sharply. Your GPUs might be 10, 20, 50 meters apart. Light doesn't have this problem. A laser pulse in a fiber barely notices 100 meters. The industry calls this the copper wall, and the entire AI buildout just slammed into it. On this channel, we call this kind of setup force demand. Usually it's demand written into law by a government. This time, the law was written by physics. And physics doesn't get repealed, delayed, or lobbied against. If you're new here, this channel finds the quiet side doors into loud investment stories. Subscribe if that's your kind of thing. Okay, 3 ways in. Way 1. The pure plays. 2 companies have become almost synonymous with this bottleneck. Credo technology makes active electrical cables, copper that has been given a brain, chips inside the cable that clean up the signal and stretch copper's last usable meters inside the rack. In its latest reported quarter, Credo's revenue grew 200% year over year to $407 million. For the full fiscal year, the company expects revenue to roughly triple, past $1.3 billion. Credo isn't alone in this niche. Marvell and others sell competing chips, but Credo owns an estimated 80% of it because it sells the entire finished tested cable, not just the silicon inside. The second name is Astera Labs, which sells the traffic infrastructure between chips, retimers, and switches that keep data flowing cleanly inside AI servers. Latest quarter, 93% growth, and their newest switch line is on track to become their biggest product within a year. These are the fastest income statements in the AI supply chain right now. They are also priced like it. Hold that thought for the trap. Way 2. The companies that make the light itself. Optical transceivers need lasers, and lasers are brutally hard to manufacture at scale. 2 American companies, Coherent and Lumentum, sit at the heart of this. Together with Cisco, Broadcom, and Axelink, the top 5 control about 70% of the transceiver market. The detail I find most interesting. At the next speed grade, the 200 gig per lane lasers that the new 1.6 terabit modules require, Lumentum is estimated to hold 50 to 60% of global supply. And here's the kicker. TrendForce says the main thing limiting this market in 2026 is not demand. It's component shortages. When the bottleneck has a bottleneck, the company making the scarcest component holds the pricing power. The power grid is going through the exact same thing with transformers right now. But that's a story for another video. Scarcity is the business model. Way 3. The platform giants. Broadcom and Nvidia aren't waiting at the copper wall. They're building over it. Broadcom has started volume shipments of a switch called Tomahawk 6, the industry's first 100 terabit class switch, with 16 optical engines built directly into the package. Nvidia is doing the same with its newest networking platforms. This approach is called co-packaged optics. Instead of plugging light modules into the front of a switch, the optics move inside the chip package itself. It cuts the power per bit by roughly 2/3. And there's one name that quietly plays every side of this table: Marvell. It sells the digital signal processors inside today's pluggable transceivers, the optics for tomorrow's co-packaged designs, and custom AI chips on top. Over $2 billion in revenue last quarter, with data center driving almost all of it. For the giants, this is just another layer of an empire. Lower risk, lower drama, and a much smaller share of the upside. Now the trap, and this one matters more than usual. Did you catch it? Co-packaged optics. The technology in Way 3 removes the pluggable transceiver. The exact product driving Way 1 and Way 2's record quarters. The same transition that is making these companies rich is also, on a long enough timeline, aimed at them. If optics move inside the chip package, the value moves with them, toward Broadcom, Nvidia, and whoever supplies the lasers inside. That's worth repeating. The laser makers probably win either way, because co-packaged optics still needs lasers. The cable and module specialists need the current architecture to last. And there are two more familiar dangers. These companies depend on a handful of hyperscale customers. Lose one, and a quarter of revenue can vanish. And those same customers hate depending on a single supplier. They are actively qualifying second sources, which means Credo's 80% share is more likely to shrink than grow, even in a booming market. And the valuations price in years of hypergrowth. Here, history gets almost too poetic. In the year 2000, the hottest stock on Earth was an optical components company called JDS Uniphase. Same industry, same story, lasers for an unstoppable buildout. It fell 99% when the spending paused. And here's the detail that should give you a healthy chill. Lumentum, the laser leader from Way 2, was spun out of JDS Uniphase. The poster child of the last optics bubble is literally the ancestor of a company in this video. The technology won. The internet got built on that fiber. The early investors still lost nearly everything because they paid a price that assumed the build-out would never pause. So, 3 scenarios. Scenario 1. The build-out rolls on, and pluggable optics stay dominant through 2027 and beyond, because co-packaged optics proves hard to service and slow to adopt. Historically, a very safe bet. Then today's pure plays keep compounding, and the shortage keeps margins fat. Scenario 2. Co-packaged optics ramps faster than expected. Value migrates up to the platform owners and down to the laser suppliers. The middle of the chain gets squeezed. Scenario 3. AI capital spending takes a breather. Doesn't have to end, just pause. Every name in this video corrects together, and the fastest growers fall the hardest. Notice that in 2 of these 3 scenarios, the laser layer does fine. That's not a recommendation. It's an observation about where the risk actually sits. What to watch? 3 signals, not price targets. 1. Hyperscaler capital expenditure guidance every quarter. That is the tide all these boats float on. 2. Co-packaged optics volume announcements from Broadcom and Nvidia. Every real deployment moves the clock forward on the pluggable era. 3. The 1.6 terabit ramp and the component shortage commentary. As long as suppliers say, we can't build enough, the pricing power story is intact. Here's the picture I'd leave you with. Everyone watches the chips. The chips get the keynotes, the headlines, the trillion-dollar valuations. But 100,000 GPUs are useless if they can't talk to each other. And right now, the conversation itself is the constraint. Chips get the headlines. Cables get the margins. Just remember, JDS Uniphase, winning the technology and winning the stock are not the same trade. This is education, not financial advice. The numbers in this video will age. Check them before you act. Thanks for watching.